What's up, guys? Welcome back. This week, a rare in-person Tuesday talk. A couple weeks back, I got to shoot upstate and sit down with Ryan Scribner. If you've been on YouTube and you looked up anything to do with money, you have definitely seen this guy's face. He was one of the original personal finance YouTube channels. It was an incredible opportunity to sit down and talk with him. At 24 years of age, he is wise beyond his years with entrepreneurship, investing. He owns his own house. He really just has his stuff together. Coming from a 38-year-old guy, his maturity was one of the things that impressed me the most. It is a long one, so I'm going to leave timestamps down in the description and comments below so that you could jump around and find the topics that you most want to listen to, or sit down and listen to it over the next couple of days. Let me know in the comments what you think. Enjoy this talk with Ryan Scribner. All right, so after 20 minutes or so of trying to figure out this setup, I'm doing my first ever live Tuesday talk with a man that needs no introduction. If you are in the personal finance space and have ever YouTubed anything that has to do with money, you have heard of this gentleman. This is Ryan Scribner. First and foremost, thanks for having me at your house.
Hey, absolutely. I mean, that's how I like to be. Kind of, and I was glad too that you had mentioned that I seemed approachable. Just because that's something I always try to maintain on my channel, is like I like to be the kind of guy that you can, drop a comment and I'll always do my best to respond. So, you had reached out on Instagram and I said, you know what? You basically said, I'm going to show up at your house with a bunch of free beer and you don't have to do anything. You just have to sit. And I didn't even know this was going to be on video. That's why I'm wearing a hoodie and a pair of sweatpants.
You look great.
I'm like, you know what? This is a more authentic look too of like, you guys see usually like the button shirt and stuff, but like on an average day, I'm usually just hanging out in a hoodie anyway. So
he is just as handsome in person and you're absolutely right. There's a couple people that I've reached out to, and overwhelmingly everyone has gotten back to me. But you were literally like that day. I remember going to my wife and saying, "I can't believe this guy." And I don't know if it's like the New York thing that we have in kind of like just two guys from New York sitting and drinking some beer, and you're going to the gym, so you have to wait.
I'll hit the beers later. Yeah, but I'm trust me, I'm
my
tempted.
Subscribers know me. They know that that's probably not the case. But no, for those that do not know who you are, do you want to? I think one of the most intriguing things for me, because I am actually one of your like early day subscribers, is maybe just the pre-origin story of maybe from high school to your first like real job.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure if you guys have like watched my channel or watched any of the interviews, you've probably heard like my general story of like being a utility worker, being a past due bill collector, starting this channel. But I like that angle because maybe we'll get some details that I haven't shared in other videos or whatever. But yeah, for me, I was actually like, just to be completely honest with you guys, in high school, I was kind of a weird kid. I was like, and it's funny too, because I related a lot to Nate O'Brien. We had this conversation one of the many times that we've met up about like, he was also kind of the weird kid in high school too, where he was like always just kind of kept to himself, a little bit of a loner. And that was definitely me in high school too, where I had like, I don't know, 4 friends or so. And like my biggest priority in high school was to do as little work as possible, get the best. Like I was always like aiming for like, okay, if I can get like an 85 and do the minimum work, and then that would mean I have the maximum time to, eat junk food, drink Mountain Dew, and play video games.
And it probably had nothing to do with your intelligence level. You probably just had other things on the brain. Like
it's actually funny because I think a lot of the success that I've had has always been from me trying to find the angle in any situation.
You tried to beat high school.
I tried to beat it. And then when I was working, I tried to beat that too. And I remember my mom would get so frustrated because she knew I was intelligent and she knew if I really wanted to, like if I wanted to, I could have been probably, a 90s plus student easily, but I didn't want to. I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to hang out and I want to drink Mountain Dew and play video games. So early on, I was really more of a loner. And I had a gaming channel at one point. I did
really?
Gaming. Yeah, I had a gaming channel.
Fun fact.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever told anyone that. Maybe some select friends, but yeah, probably. Let's see. I was 16 years old. I had a gaming channel. I've taken all the videos down, so I don't want you to trouble yourselves trying to look for it.
I'll find him when he goes to the gym.
Yeah, you'll hack into my computer. But anyways, yeah, I had a gaming channel. That was where my initial interest in YouTube came from. And over a course of a year, I scaled it up to 3,000 subscribers. And and I was like 16 years old. By that point, I was 17. and I was making like $100 a month in ad revenue, which at the time I was 17. I was like, this is cool. Like that's Mountain Dew money or snack money, you know? So that was just such a cool concept for me that I could like create content and then have it like make me money. Yeah, I don't know. High school was not a great time for me, to be honest with you. Okay. I had fun. And I enjoyed what I was doing, but like the whole high school environment, I hated going to school. I was kind of an easy target. I wasn't picked on a lot, but like I did get picked on a fair amount, mostly in gym class, you know, with the
You posted
the
some pictures
guys.
Recently on your Instagram that
you
you were a little on the chubby side.
I was on the chubby side. I was not athletic. I wasn't terribly confident. So especially in gym class, I was a bit of an easy target, and I just didn't care about gym, so I just wouldn't participate, you know. So.
And how did that experience lead to like university or like going to college? And
the only part that led to the part for the college for me was not knowing what I like. Nothing in high school jumped out to me where I was like, oh, this is the thing for me.
Right.
I was just drifting on through, and then all of a sudden it was kind of like, okay, you're in 11th grade now. All right, you're halfway through 11th grade. You're in senior year, halfway through senior year, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, what am I doing? Where am I going? What am I going to do? Am I going to go work at, you know, Cumberland Farms? And, you know, I was like, oh, I'm not going to do that, so I better go to college, you know. So I remember it was like it was some random day during the week, and I only had like, so I had $10,000 set aside from my grandfather to use towards college, and it was kind of like, do whatever you want with it. If I want to go use that for one semester of some fancy school, cool. But then the rest is on me.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I don't want to go into debt. So I was like, I'll just go to community college. I'll commute. And that was like $2,200 a semester. It was cheap. You know, I was commuting, and I put that money towards tuition, and I paid for my books and tools and stuff. So I like spread that money as much as I could, and I'm very thankful for that too. Like most people don't get that opportunity. Yeah, so
that would be like, I teach high school kids, and if I told a kid go work on a trade, they would laugh in my face because you were working on electrical trade.
So
right?
Yeah, and I was just glad to have the money from my grandfather too, because like that. I mean, I didn't come from a silver spoon by any means, but I mean, I did have a little bit of help in certain areas where it's like a little bit of money for college. And like the first car that I got, my grandfather also gave us each $5,000 towards our first car. Okay. And those things were really helpful because that's hard when you're young. But so I ended up picking electrical construction as far as like what I thought was going to be like my life path, but I was just kind of like, I have no idea what I want to do. I'm sitting there in the cafeteria of my high school, like, and I used this when I was talking to Clark too. I felt like I was like at Fridays, TGI Fridays, like, oh, do I want the bacon cheeseburger? Do I want to get the chicken wings? I'm like going through this menu, like what career? It's like, this is so weird. Like I'm 17, I'm like, this is what I'm looking at a menu. But anyway, I picked electrical construction because I did like my electronics class in high school, and so I picked that, and I got 2-year degree, trade degree. I always was looking for the angle in every situation. You know, I always looked at situations as far as like, how are 99% of people looking at the situation? Okay, how would the 1% look at the situation? Like, what's the angle here?
Right.
And not in a way that's bad or like malicious, but it was always like, okay, what's the angle here? It was always my thought process. You know, I would do video research while I was at work and maybe jot down some notes. And once in a while, people who worked there would be like, oh, they would make comments. Like one guy would walk by and he'd be like, oh, test is coming Monday. You better study up. Because that's what I was doing. I was like sitting there scribbling notes on stuff and like had little journals, and like nobody really bothered me or asked what I was doing, but they'd make comments once in a while because instead of them doing what I was doing, they would usually go gossip, you know, talk about literally lawnmowers and cars and oil changes and that kind of stuff. So I didn't fit in there because I was kind of like doing, you know, taking notes and taking advantage of that time. But for me, I was like, I don't really like this job. I don't want to be here any longer than I have to be. And I was working on this YouTube channel on the side, and I was like, okay, the less work I have here to do, the more time I can, you know, low-key do some research and take notes for videos, and that allows me to accelerate that. So for me, that was my angle. It was by, you know, maybe not jumping on the workload and getting stuff done immediately and being the squeaky wheel. You know, I kind of flew under the radar. And one of the things I've always found advantageous in life for me is acting dumber than I am. You know, that really does help. It does.
I completely agree. And one thing, hold on, before you go.
Yeah.
I want to switch spots because you're the focus, and live, like, you need to be here.
Oh, you want to switch physically spots? Okay, we can do that. Yeah.
See, now Yes.
Oh, that is better. Okay.
Yeah, because see, you're welcome. So we're back, and we changed spots so you could see him, not me.
All right.
All right. So you're working as the bill collector.
Mm-hmm.
You are deciding that this may not be for you.
Yep.
And so, are you working on are you thinking or doing the YouTube channel while you're doing this job?
Well, at the time when I was the bill collector, I wasn't, because that was when I was the bill collector, I was extremely busy at work. I was like working, like my work day would fly by. I was doing it like that was a very fast-paced environment doing that job, because you're just going door to door.
Right.
You've got a list of 50 houses a day. You're lucky if you hit 20, you know. And so that was a very fast-paced environment. That was the job I did for 8 months before I got the full-time job there.
Okay.
And then that full-time job I got was in that planning department where I was doing the power line construction. And that was where I had a lot of free time. And then that was where I basically kind of figured that angle of like, okay, by slowing down with my work and not being the one who's jumping up and saying, oh, I'll do that. You know, a lot of that annoying stuff kind of flowed around me. And yeah, so that was the time when I had started the channel. Just timeline-wise, to put this in context, I started the job for the utility company in April of 2015. I was a past due bill collector for the first 8 months there. So I believe it was December of 15, January of 16.
Okay.
When somewhere around there that I started this job in the planning department. I didn't start my channel until October of 16.
So 3 years ago.
Basically, yeah, 3 years ago.
When I first came onto your channel was right about that time.
When you came across it?
Yeah, when I came across your channel, you were just getting ready to make that leap to YouTube full time. And I remember thinking to myself, like, idiot.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit older than you, and it wasn't so much the YouTube thing. It was more that at this time, you were 20, 21 years old, and you had you had an above average American salary.
Yeah, and I'll share that. I mean, I'm transparent with numbers. I was 20 and then I turned 21 at that job, and I was making like 32 an hour with overtime, and with a lot of overtime if I wanted it. And so I think like I was pulling in like 65K.
Yeah.
With no college debt.
So when you quit this job, I'm like,
and union too. That's a huge piece.
I'm like, you are a union guy with possibility of promotion and overtime. And I know I was like, this silly kid, what is he doing? Like,
right.
Like most people have to work up to and dream of working up to even 65. And here you are like, I'm going to give this YouTube thing. Now, did you have what was your financial background? Like investing, like what made you like qualified to quit your job to go do that, to do this? Nothing.
No, not well.
Motivation.
Well, so and it's funny that you say that, because like nobody understood. Like my mom was actually, she understood. She was like, yeah, you don't like your job, whatever, try something else. But like my whole thought process was like, I do not like this job. I'm not interested in the work I'm doing. No matter what, I don't want to be here. And I was like, so let's say I quit my job and then I'm successful. Cool. Let's say I quit my job and I'm not. Well, I didn't want to be here anyway.
Right.
So it's like,
and you still had those skills.
And I still had the skills. Yeah.
So you could always.
But it was like it was really interesting time in my life. I have a backwards. I don't remember what percentage of the population is like this, but I'm motivated by people disbelieving in me.
Same way.
So you're like that too.
I did the Ironman triathlon because they were like, bro, you can't do that triathlon, and I was like, checked it all 4 times. Thank you very much.
One thing you've probably learned too is that the majority of people are not that way.
Right.
So when you try to motivate your wife or your friends by disbelieving in them, and then they're like, you're a jerk.
I'm a bully.
Yeah, I learned that so much with like relationships with people, because I was like, this is the way my mind works. This must be everybody.
Exactly.
And then I would go do tough love on like I'm like girlfriends or like my brother or something, and then they'd like respond negatively, and I'm like, wait, why are you responding this way? You're supposed to be motivated.
Yeah, that's supposed to motivate. When I tell you that you suck at running, you should run faster.
Run faster. But anyway, that was my, and it was so funny, dude. I actually, oddly enough, had someone else come up from the city this week for an interview for my channel. He's got a tech startup that he used to be my neighbor, and they just raised like $2 million of venture capital. Crazy, awesome story. I'll have to link you guys up, actually.
Please do.
Yeah, because you guys are in the same area. But I remember at the end, I wish we got it on camera for the video. He was like, one of the biggest motivating factors for me when I started this company was telling everyone that I started it, because then I had to do it. And I was like, that's the way that I thought. That's why I started a YouTube channel for accountability.
Right.
So that's what I did too. For me, I was like, all right, I'm going to try this channel. and I'm going to do it. And I'm like, and I'm just going to be as loud as possible and tell every person I know that I'm doing it, because then there's no way I'm going to fail. I literally, that was my thought process. I was
They
like,
told you were going to fail, though, probably.
oh yeah, they laughed at me. They were like,
your boys were probably all over you.
Oh, they were all over me, man. And it was funny because when I first started YouTube, I was making videos about 3 topics. It was finance, and these were all areas I was passionate about.
Right.
Finance, personal development, which is more like Think and Grow Rich, Tony Robbins type stuff, and then nutrition and fitness, because I was very into nutrition and fitness at the time. And so I was all over the map. I was like, one day I'd make a video about like the benefits of cold showers. Then I would do a video on like budgeting and credit score. And then I remember I would do videos on like health benefits of certain vegetables. So,
Juicing.
like, I literally did a video on the health benefit. It's not public on the channel anymore, but I had a video at one point on I should make it just to show people health benefits of the avocado.
Just throw it unlisted in the community tab. That would
Just
be...
so people can see it. Be like, new upload, health benefits of an avocado. But I remember, like, when I quit my job, and I had some friends who worked at the company, right? And, like, the rumor around the company was that I left my job to talk about vegetables.
To talk about vegetables.
To make videos about vegetables.
How are the carrots doing over there, Ryan?
Yeah, exactly. So they're just like, this kid left his job to make videos about avocados. They're like, this guy lost his marbles.
Yeah, and
in a way, and not, you know, I don't mean to jump in here, but in a way, you have to be somewhat messed up to do what I did. I literally was making $1,000 per month doing what I was doing, which was just messing around making YouTube videos about avocados and all this stuff. Now, when I hit 1,000 subscribers, I took stock of the whole situation. These stock market related videos, these money related videos are getting views and getting comments. These vegetable videos and fitness videos are just not getting views.
Okay.
So I cut those off entirely, and I said I'm going to focus in on finance and stock market.
So you didn't start like, I'm going to make a finance channel. You said,
I started with those
I'm going to
3.
start a passion channel.
Yep.
And then
I'm going to take my 3 hobbies and 3 interests and provide content about them, and then throw
you could say shit. You could say
throw shit at the wall and see what sticks was the strategy.
And you've learned the value that I hear over and over again about like niching down and finding that content. And I think the beautiful thing is that you were doing this before this was cool. I mean, there was you, there was Jeremy, but you were one of the first.
Yeah,
were you the first person to like write on a pad of paper about money?
I was the so
self-proclaimed
I was the first. I was
here.
the first one to write on a whiteboard. I don't think I was the first one on the pad of paper, but I swear, you find somebody else who has a whiteboard money related video that predates mine, and I will be very impressed, because I believe I was the first one.
Okay.
And then I did the pad and paper stuff, but when I started these videos, and the reason I started it was because when I was at work, like I said, I like to try to maximize my time. And one of the things I would do is I would throw one earbud in the right ear, and I'd kind of run the cord. People couldn't even tell I had it in, and then listen out the left ear. And in my right ear, I would listen to YouTube stuff, because you could pull up whatever you wanted, and like so I would listen to videos about. I'd be sitting there plugged in listening to Gary Vee motivation, Tony Robbins motivation throughout the day, and kind of like getting pumped up, and like I was like, I knew something was coming. I don't know what it was. I was like, I knew it was something though. It was all building. And then I was like, one day I was like, well, I had been doing so because I had high income, low expenses. I was able to save like half of my paycheck, and I was investing it, and kind of at the time I was trying some swing trading. And so I was learning a lot about it. And it was funny, at that time I would go to work, go to the gym, and then in the evenings I would go to a couple of coffee shops in my area and just read about investing, read about trading. And it was fun. I enjoyed it. I just always liked learning. And so I was trying the whole swing trading thing, and I remember I was like, oh, maybe I can learn some stuff while I'm sitting here. So I typed in stock market on YouTube, and like the top search recommended was stock market for beginners. And I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, I'll check this out. I still consider myself, I'm sure I can learn something. Yeah. I've been doing this for a couple months. And one video popped up by Jack Chappell. And he was like the OG finance guy. And it's so funny because all the people, do you remember Jack Chappell? Yeah. I don't know what happened to him. But he was like, at the time, he had like 6,000 subscribers, and he had one video called Stock Market for Beginners where he had like scribbled notes on a chalkboard, and it had like 700,000 views. And I was just like, what? Ding! That's when I realized, I'm like, okay, this is obviously something here, because this is clearly pent-up demand for this type of content. Because why else? And there were multiple videos. They were not bad videos. I'm not saying that they were bad. but the thumbnails were there was no thumbnail. It was just a static thumbnail. The content was, again, scribbled notes on a chalkboard. I was like, there's obviously demand for this
room.
and a lack of content. So this is what's showing up. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to
be that guy.
Yeah. And I didn't know I was going to be the exact finance guy, but I said, all right, I'm going to go try this on YouTube. And that's when I drove home, picked up a whiteboard from Staples on the way home from work.
So you have this YouTube channel now.
Yes.
And you've niched it down. And the first one to do it. But the growth is freaking. Was there, as a small YouTuber, of course I like have aspirations of the subscriber counts, and you're so humble that like speaking to you off camera, like that's not something you focus on or even care that much about. You know, you're definitely focused on your message, but there had to be some days early on where you were like, I was right. This is taking off. That bubble that you thought needed to be filled.
Yeah.
You know, was it slow growth, hockey stick? Like, what was that first year like as a YouTube creator?
So the first year, I'll just run through subscribers because that's a metric that people relate to most. It took me 7 weeks to get my first 100 subscribers.
7 weeks? Okay.
7 weeks, so that was 50 days, so about 2 a day. And that was me literally messaging everybody I knew, like, hey, subscribe to my channel, you know? Again, also being as loud as possible just so I would have no choice but to succeed. And then after that, I mean, it picked up. I mean, basically it was 6 months was 10,000. So 6 months to 10K, so it grew quick. But again, and that is not typical. I will just restate.
Is that a viral video, or is that just you were the only one?
I was the only one. I was literally the only one creating this kind of content. I mean, there's financial education too, and Graham Stephan squeaked in there right around the same period. We all started around the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just a matter of creating content, and then there was not much out there, so it just naturally was getting views. So it was 6 months to 10,000, and that put me in the month of June. June was when I quit my job. June of 17. June of 17 to July of 18 went to 100K. So it was 14 months from 0 to 100K subscribers, which is not typical. It's not typical. So if you're not at that level, don't be worried, because
do you have a video on that?
I don't see that. I would do more. I love talking about YouTube, but like every time I do a video about YouTube, it bombs. I feel like people are just
Can you make an unlisted one and send it to me? Because like that's so like it's incredible, and even though it's not typical, it's still awesome to see. Like, I think a proof of concept. I mean, you quit your job at 10,000 subscribers. Yeah. Not many people could. I maybe could come up with one or two, maybe, but like the growth thing, 14 months to 100K.
Yeah. And
then now you 4x that even further. You're almost at 500,000.
It's wild. Yeah, I know.
And the content is still awesome. Like,
I try to continue to evolve.
Do you find yourself like running out of content ideas? Like people that don't know personal finance or know, like my students, for example, they'll be like, how much can you really talk about money? You've been talking about money for 3+ years.
Yeah. Sometimes I think I'm running out of ideas where I'll be like, oh, what am I going to talk about? You know, or I got to make another make money online video. Like I was joking around with you about that. It's like, and I was talking to one of my other, I'm close with a lot of people in this niche, but I really like Jeff Rose. He's got his channel. He's got good financial sense too. But I remember he hit the nail on the head one day he was like, how many times can we make the same video of X ways to make money online, X ways to make passive income, how to make $100 a day? That's
frugal
the same
tips,
video, you know?
10 frugal tips.
And you're saying the same thing 15 different ways, and it's just like, man, this is just, I just get so tired of it. Sometimes I think I'm running out of ideas, but like all I'll have to do is just spend an hour or so browsing through other channels or browsing finance blogs or just thinking. Literally, I'll just sit down and think, and I could come up with 50 video ideas. I mean, I read you my list today.
Yeah.
Some of them seem like they, a couple of them in there seem like they could be, and they're ones that people.
I wrote them down. Don't worry, I wrote them down.
I actually even told you, I was like, man, if you want to do these, like,
that's the first thing he did say. He said, hey, you want to get notes out? You write these down.
Take any of these if you want.
This is the kind of guy.
I probably won't even do half of these. But yeah, and I found a lot of like most of my big winners in terms of viral videos have been original ideas.
Okay.
Some of them have been like, oh, you see a similar video do good, then you make make your own version of it. But like my most viral videos, like the sweat coin video, that was like I'm literally sitting there watching. Funny side tangent.
How did that video come to be? Yeah,
my ex-girlfriend and I we lived together for a year, and we we saw TikTok emerging. So do you know TikTok?
Yes, I do.
So we saw TikTok emerging, and I wanted to kind of put my my skills to the test, I guess. And I was like, you know what? And she was interested too. I was like, let's work together and strategize and try to make you a viral TikTok star or whatever, you know? And we did that. And I was in a number of her TikToks. I'm actually in like 4 viral TikToks. One got like 6 million views.
What?
Yeah. So we sat down and we were like, let's figure out this TikTok game. So we watched a bunch of the videos and figured out what was funny, and we started doing them. And that was a lot of fun. And I don't think she does TikTok anymore, but like she has 150,000 followers on TikTok, and we did it together in like 2 months' time.
And that's where you found the sweat coin?
Because I was watching so much TikTok videos at the time. Because I was market research. I'm like, okay, what's working? And then okay, we'll do that. And then I was watching these videos, and this ad kept coming up of like getting paid to walk, and I'm like, this is obviously bullshit. You can't get paid to walk. But I'm like, there's an angle here of I'm going to do this video. And so, again, let's go back to
It wasn't an ad for you. It was a, do this video.
So then, let's continue this topic of me finding angles in situations. Because then I was on a boys' trip to Atlantic City over the summer in June with Marco. You know Marco, Whiteboard Finance,
awesome
Nate
dude.
O'Brien.
Another great dude.
And then Apple Kreider, who's more so
Are there any
podcasting.
jerks in this industry? There's not too many assholes.
Come across many. No, they're all pretty cool dudes.
Okay.
So me trying to find the angle, I'm like, okay, how can I write off this entire trip? Okay, I've got to film a video. And I'm thinking, well, I'm on the Atlantic City boardwalk. What am I going to be doing a lot of? Walking. Time for the sweat coin video.
Son of a bitch.
So there it goes. So I literally filmed that sweat coin video. And I remember Marco and the other guys were kind of like, what are you doing, man? Like, what is this video?
And now they're like,
they probably are laughing because it's gotten like 1.6 million views.
1.5 million.
But
I'll leave it below. If you haven't seen it.
It's a funny video.
It's worth it. It's worth the view. And I think too, as a YouTube creator, and anybody out there, it's worth the view just to say like, hey, sometimes roll the dice on a video.
Yeah, roll the dice.
What was the worst? Like, 6 weeks in, it does nothing. You unlist it or you take it down.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like.
And at the very least, I was like, by doing this video, I'm already doing the walking. I'm already in Atlantic City. By doing this video, I can write it off. And okay, check with your tax guy on that one. My tax guy says it's okay, but this is not tax advice.
Disclaimer.
Okay? Check with your tax advisor.
Yes.
But as far as I know, he says if you're making content, it's business expense. But whatever, use your discretion on that one.
You can. Did you know you can write off this couch now because it's part of the set? This is a set piece.
Maybe I can write off the whole house since I'm recording it.
This is a set piece. Like, didn't you built this edition just for the YouTube?
Yeah, that's funny, man. But yeah, for me, it was like an angle. It was like, okay, I'm taking this trip to Atlantic City.
Right.
How do I make this a write-off? And then it's like, I'm already doing the walking. How do I take advantage of this walking? So that's always the way my mind works. I'm naturally a pretty lazy person. I really am. And I'm always looking for the path of least resistance and that angle. And that originally comes back to that first angle of me being, 15, 16-year-old, kind of a bit of a overweight individual. And my priority was Mountain Dew and video games. And it was like, how do I maximize the amount of time I can do this activity?
Well, let me just mindset you real quick, because you're not lazy. You are just very specific about what you spend energy on.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
I'm a high school teacher. Like,
okay, so you see it all the time.
Like, it's not that you were lazy, because obviously that's a fallacy. You're not a lazy person. Mm-hmm. You just have very specific goals, and you had very specific things that you wanted to, spend your time doing. And I think I don't know where I heard it, but there's so many people that say like, working on your weaknesses is like kind of dumb. Like, put your weaknesses out on other people. Build a team to take care of your weaknesses and just dominate what you do well. And I think as you're starting to expand your business, you're doing that too. Like, are you in this at 500,000 subscribers? I'm sure a lot of people want to know, like, is it just you? Like, if somebody gets a comment from you or a response, is it from you? Do you have a team? How big is Ryan Scribner's channel as far as a brand?
You're looking at it.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I did scale up and then I scaled down. Like last year, September, for the first time, I read the 4-Hour Work Week. I was like, why have I not read this? So weird. I was like on a plane And I was like,
how did you succeed on YouTube without reading that book?
I don't know, but it was so funny. I was taking a plane ride, and I was like, oh, this has been on my bookshelf for 3 years. I grabbed it, and I landed. It was like a 7-hour plane ride. I landed with like pages of notes and this whole plan to hire a bunch of VAs, and I hired a bunch of people. I hired someone to do my comments. I hired someone to do my emails. I hired a video editor, and I got to the point where literally all I was doing was like pressing record on the camera and then uploading the files. But then like I did that for a while, and I found that the quality was suffering with the videos. I was out of touch with my audience because reading the comments and responding gave me a barometer of like, did people like this video? Did they not like this video?
Yeah, I feel.
And then like I would get so many.
Let
good
us know if you like this video.
Yeah, for sure. They're gonna be like, this lazy union worker.
Why is he wearing sweatpants?
But yeah, that's where I would get a lot of like, and some of my best video ideas come from the comments.
Yeah.
Where somebody would be like, I have a question about blah blah blah. So I don't know. I just found I was getting really out of touch.
Yeah.
And then so I scaled in a way of like having people do all this stuff, and then like over the last year I took all of it back. And then instead, because I was like trying to do volume, I was trying to do 3 videos per week. And in order to do that, I needed to have someone editing. I tried having someone do my thumbnails. I needed to have someone doing my comments. And I needed to specifically focus on just content creation.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I kind of like doing the full stack aspect of this. And I like having my hands in all these different baskets. And I understand that's not going to help me scale. But that's not even my goal.
Right.
Like my goal is to, what is my goal?
I was going to ask you that next.
Yeah, to be happy is like my goal.
Because I know that my biggest fear would be to become too big where I couldn't get, like, I take a lot of pride in answering all my comments and like nowhere near the amount of volume, but I think it's incredible, and it's great to know, and it's great for people to know that if they reach out with a question, even if you don't get back right away, because know that he's getting a lot of free, but when you eventually do get back to it, it was you. It wasn't a paid assistant, and there's something to be said for that.
Yeah, and I do my best, and as part of that, the fact that it is me, I will be honest, in terms of like our comments, I always try to respond to comments. The ones that are like, clearly a genuine question that's well thought out. And my thought process behind that is because hundreds or thousands of people can read a comment.
Right.
So maybe one person has a question, I answer it, and then 30 people see it. That's having the most impact.
I think there's some great value that you can bring to not only YouTube creators, but people in general, is like the AdSense and the views and the clicks, like that's not really how you focus your income. Like you are doing, and it's a shame. It seems so cliche, this term affiliate marketing.
Yeah.
But a large majority of your livelihood is based around your experiences with businesses, your trust in other businesses, and you recommending those business services to other people. And I think sometimes that affiliate marketing gets a bad rap because they think that you're just doing it for the money.
Right.
And I think it's very worth saying, and I want them to hear it from you because I know at 500,000 subscribers, when you're recommending a brand, you are recommending that brand as if you had 100 subscribers. Like, right? Like, can you explain the importance of affiliate marketing in not only your career and your income, but also how you pick and choose who you work with as a partner?
Yeah, definitely. Everything I've recommended, I have personally used. Like, for example, I'll just like, so even the digital products, and that is kind of some people say that's a gray area of like the whole digital product space, but there are some digital products that I've been affiliated with, but like all of them, I've gone through the entire thing myself.
Right.
And then I sit down and I go, did this help me? Did this benefit me? And sometimes it didn't. And I told the people, I'm like, hey, thanks for the opportunity, but this didn't help me in the way that I think it needs to.
So you're saying no to people?
Oh, I say no all the time. And like my core affiliates, I don't even really bring on affiliates anymore. I am so many people in this world tend to go a mile wide and an inch deep, you know? And it's so much better to go, an inch wide and a mile deep. And that's been my strategy too with my affiliates. I mean, I was showing you some of the stuff I'm working on with my affiliates. And a lot of people think affiliate marketing is just, you make a review and you toss the link in the description.
Not saying I thought that, but
they either think it's simple or they think it's sleazy.
Right.
But
it's
I think
car salesman shit, and it's not like that.
You've seen it's not sleazy, but you've also seen some of the stuff that I'm doing is a little bit more complex.
Yeah, no, it's a job. Like I'm not saying like now where I thought it was super easy, but dude, there's a reason why you don't have a full-time W-2 job.
Sure.
And even with these affiliates, like the amount of work that you're putting in back end to make not only the video, forget the video, but the relationship, whether it's you seeking out a company or them working with you, negotiations, you coming back and saying, I'm not comfortable promoting that. And that, like, it is incredible the amount of work that goes into a simple, like, it's not as simple as, hey, jump on M1 or, hey, go to Airbnb and list your shit. It's not like that.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of these talks, because that's not something I would have ever imagined. Not to say I downplayed it, but it's your job.
Right.
This is his job.
Yeah. And so again, we'll circle back to the I like this theme here of finding the angles. So here's another angle, okay?
Ryan Scribner. Finding
the angles.
There's the title right there.
There's my book. That'll be my book. I'll write a book on finding the angles.
We'll go back and use this as a reference.
Yeah. But anyway, so
I'll do the forward.
finding the angles. So Airbnb, okay? When I moved into this house, and you've seen the house, pretty big place for one person. I haven't even showed you like the master bedroom and stuff.
Stand by for the house tour has already come out. When this comes out, the house tour has already been out. I'll link the house tour in the description
cool. Yeah,
below.
So I have a house tour. But anyway, I did up my master bedroom. And then when it was all said and done, I was like, you know what? This is really nice. And at the time, so just for some more personal details, I didn't buy this house because I was in a relationship, but when I did buy the house, I was serious with my girlfriend, and I was like, we're probably going to be together. And I was like, hey, at the time we had 2 cats. It was her and I was like, this works. I've got space for me. She's got space. And then things didn't work out with her, and we're both in much better places now. So it's actually good that didn't work out. And then she kept the cats or whatever. So it's literally just me here. So when that bedroom was all said and done, I was like, this is beautiful. This is like a really nice space. And I was like, how can this make me money? How can I make some money with this space? So I tested it out with doing Airbnb with a shared room rental. And then it was funny because as I was doing that shared room rental, I realized I was like, okay, so this is making me money. It's kind of fun. I get to meet cool people coming to my house. But then I was like, but it's also the opportunity cost here of me managing the turnover and having one more annoyance of messages from people. Hey, how far are you from blah, blah, blah? Or, can you tell me how to use the hot tub? Stuff like that.
I'll link that video too. He talked about that whole experience.
Yeah,
I'll link that
whole experience. Yep. But then it hit me one night. No, it didn't hit me one night. It hit me when I went to FinCon, which is a big finance convention. I was there, and there's different booths there. And Airbnb was there. And I went up to them, and they're like, oh, we have an affiliate program. And I was like, ding, 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 ding. I was like, there's the angle. I will make more money as an affiliate for Airbnb than I will ever make being an Airbnb host. So I was like, there's my angle. So instead of doing Airbnb, I turned it off. And then I still had a couple of bookings. I have one tonight. I have a couple of bookings that were still booked.
I'm out of here.
He's sleeping in the driveway. No, I had a couple bookings. It's not tonight. It's tomorrow. That's right. I had a couple bookings that still had been booked earlier on. I don't take on new bookings now. But I said, okay, I'm going to take my experience as an Airbnb host, and I'm going to make a video about my Airbnb experience. And then I'm going to be an affiliate for Airbnb. And I said, I'm pretty damn sure I can make way more money as an affiliate for Airbnb than I could actually doing Airbnb. And I was right. And I'll share numbers with you guys just because I think numbers can be helpful.
I like numbers.
But yeah, so like from the video itself, or no, I'm sorry, we'll start with the Airbnb listing. So I was doing like $60 a night. And I travel quite a bit too, so I was only offering the place like maybe 2/3 of the month.
Okay.
I could probably make $500 to $750 a month of revenue from Airbnb.
Okay.
And then when I factor in my costs of like cleaning supplies, I offer bottled water, candy, granola bars. I don't know. I would say profit-wise, it was probably something that could make me $600 to $650 a month, somewhere around there. So maybe in the winter we're talking $400 if it's quieter, but by taking that experience, I've only made 2 pieces of content about Airbnb, and I've been, and this may not keep up, it may dip, but like so far it's been $2,000 a month in affiliate revenue from Airbnb. But again, that shows you, number one, there's the angle that I found. Number 2, before I was an affiliate for Airbnb, you better bet I did it myself.
Yeah.
And I did it. I spent, I'm still doing it, finishing it up, but I spent a month as an Airbnb host, and I went through it, and I said, okay, is this a good thing to do? So I realized that it's so important that everything that I recommend, like M1 Finance, you better bet I have an M1 Finance account. I have a little dummy portfolio to mess around with it. Fundrise, I got $5,000 with Fundrise. Webull, I have a Webull account, and I've traded with that account. Every company I'm affiliated with, I've used the product. They have my information. They've got everything, you know. So I'm not gonna ask someone to sign up for a brokerage that I wouldn't sign up for.
And people need to. I want people to know that. Like when you see him, even in the future,
right?
Like I'm vouching for him, and I think not a lot of people know. You took a page out of Graham Stephan's book. You house hacked this house too.
I do. Yeah,
you have long-term tenants as well.
Yeah, I have long-term tenants, and even this house, like. This house, it's a big house, and I talk a lot about it in the video that's going to be linked up there on the house tour. But I mean, it's a 1,800. It's like 1,800 to 2,000 square feet, somewhere around there. 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, and it's a house that's been fully pretty much remodeled. It's very nice. You know,
dope.
And so if I were to buy this house as a single family house and I were to get a mortgage on this property, this would probably cost me like $2,500 a month. But because I'm doing the house hacking, with having the two people offsetting it. Even just with those two people, my cost on this is like $1,450 a month. And then there's other opportunities to make money with the house too. Track season rental. There's an additional space in the back that could be another Airbnb. So if I want to, I could get to a point where this property is break even or
cash
even
flow
cash flow positive, depending on how I want to play it. So like I always like having that optionality where I have like, so right now things are good. The money's coming in and I'm happy, you know?
But YouTube can shut off tomorrow.
Yeah, let's say if YouTube shut off tomorrow, what would I be doing? I would be renting the main house and I'd be living in the little cottage, you know, or like the little side property, or I would renovate the barn and turn that into an apartment and live for free, you know? So in that sense, it's actually, and that's why I find it so funny when people are like, wow, you got a $470,000 mortgage. That is risky, man. And I'm like, how is that risky? Because I have all of these opportunities to make money with this property. I have 2 apartments. I have a barn. I have a little cottage thing. I got the main house.
An acre of land.
I'm like, there's so many ways that this could make me money. I could, if I wanted to, I could pull a camper into the backyard and rent out every little piece. I could probably make $6,000 a month from this property if I wanted to. Now, I don't want to live in a camper in the yard, but it's like, what optionality do you have with your single family home? What are you going to do, you know?
What I lay awake in bed thinking about, you're putting to fruition. And I hope there's people watching, like, because I know there's creators that watch and just people in life, because you're not just shooting out a YouTube creator message. You know, you're shooting out a life message. You're shooting out the angles piece. You're shooting out that if you don't like your job, okay, you got to work there for a little bit. But while you're working there, figure something else out. And if housing is expensive, get a bigger house and rent part of it. Like, if you want to make an extra money besides ad revenue, or, you know, bring in extra sources of income with your, like, this is not a, Ryan Scribner is a YouTuber and he's doing, this is a dude. And how old are you?
24.
He's 24 years old and it's just awesome. It really is. And you talked to me before, like, about consistency, work-life balance. Like, you went from 3 videos to 1 video so you can make your content production a little better. Like,
so going down to 1 video per week was huge for me, and I started doing that about 4 months ago, I think.
Right.
By going down to 1 video per week, that has allowed me a lot more flexibility and room to think. And that's going to, I think, allow for much better content going forward.
Yeah, I struggle with work-life balance so much, and I think...
Well, you're still doing the full-time W-2 as well, so that's tough.
But for you, like, you must see it as, like, your growth is so hockey stick, that would make me want to be like, more, where you're like, you're able to look out from the outside in and say, okay, there is very good exponential growth here, but I can't forget who I am. I got to take trips, and I got to be me, and I got to spend time with family, like...
Exactly, and like, so I don't remember the exact statistic, but it's somewhere around, like, the odds of dying every time you get behind the wheel of a car is like 1 in 5,000.
You're gonna get deep right now, aren't you?
Which is crazy. I'm not gonna get too deep.
Dude's gonna get deep right now.
But what I'm saying,
I know you just went on a retreat. This is gonna get deep.
I know I've gotten a lot more into, like, the spirituality and, like, well-rounded life, but I remember I read that statistic of like somewhere around that 1 in 5,000 is your odds. Every time you get behind the wheel, that's your odds of dying. And I'm not saying that in a cynical way, like we should be afraid to drive. We all need to drive.
Right.
But like I like to live, and I'm not saying I do this every day. There are some days where I'm not totally balanced. Like I just came back from a trip to Seattle, and Monday, Tuesday of this week, I literally worked 12-hour days. Didn't make it to the gym. My balance was all off, but I was like, I just want to grind out some work and get some stuff done.
Right.
But and this really changed for me. I've met a lot of entrepreneurs in this space, and in my opinion, based on my values, they don't have a great work-life balance. Right. They may be super successful in the money, but like I look at their relationships with other people and the way they treat other people, and I'm like, I'm not envious of that, and I wouldn't change lives with them.
Right.
And so for me, I like to honestly feel like if I were to die at any given point in time, that I'm pretty happy and I've done the things that I want to do. And so like a lot of my goals, like when you said, what are your goals, man? A lot of my goals right now are non-monetary goals. My goals are get better at playing guitar. My grandfather's getting older and he's good now, but he had colon cancer. That was a bit of a scare. But he's good. So I see him every week on Mondays for lunch. My goals are travel to 12 countries in the next year. That's one of them. A lot of my goals now are more, non-monetary goals.
Self-fulfillment. They're self-fulfillment, yeah.
No, obviously I got to keep doing what I'm doing here or else I won't have the luxury of taking time to do this stuff. But yeah, I mean, as much as you may see that growth, like you can get so sucked into this world of like, oh, you just want to keep feeding the beast and stoking that fire.
I would think to myself, if I stop, it's going to go away. If I can't stop it, and we've seen some people like
it can really affect
consume
you.
Them.
It can really affect you on as far as what's going on. And we won't name names or anything.
No, but yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be the finance niche. Look at any YouTuber, they burn out. Like,
every big YouTuber. And like every big YouTuber has that burnout video.
Right.
And you don't have that burnout video.
No, but there are some times where I'm like, man, doing one video per week.
That's because you're human.
Doing one video per week, it's really not that much of a stress on my time. And I've been doing videos I enjoy. If I was doing a video a day, there's no way I could do that, or even 3 per week. It's just too much.
Yeah.
And I try to look at it from a long-term perspective of like, if I were to, this is what I would recommend for people watching this. Take a given day that you live, right? And look at what you're doing in that day. Or maybe, to be fair, take a given week. Because I understand you're not going to make it to the gym every day. You're not going to meditate every day. You're not going to maybe do everything you want to do every day. But take a given week of your life. And if you were to replicate that week out for the rest of your life, are you happy with that week? And if the answer is yes, then okay, you have a well-balanced life.
Right, exactly.
But if the answer is no, and you're like, oh my gosh, I've spent the last week, hunched over my laptop 12 hours a day. I've been in my house for 3 days straight. I haven't even seen my friends, haven't seen my grandfather, haven't talked to my mom, whatever it is.
Make some changes.
Make some changes, man. Like, because all you're doing is deferring your happiness. And I used to do it for a while. I was like, I'll just do this deferred living. People do deferred living in terms of money, and they do it in terms of happiness. They'll just, I'll save and I'll live frugally, and that's important. Not to live beyond your means, but they're always putting the money in the bucket for tomorrow, and then they're also sacrificing happiness today for supposed happiness tomorrow. And
that's speculation.
And what happens is you lose yourself. You really do, because that happened to me. I was, when I left my job, I went, pedal to the floor, just like, let's make this happen, and I did. But then coming off of that, I had lost myself, to be honest with you. I was like, I don't know what makes me happy. I was in a toxic relationship. I had, it was just like, and a lot of it was my fault too, because I was like, I wasn't even the kind of person I'd want to be around. All I could talk to people about was work. It was my whole life. It was like how I identified myself. And it's like, I may have taken this a whole different direction than you were thinking. But
even if they're not listening, because I surround myself a lot, associate a lot with the FIRE community, the Financial Independence Retire Early community. And I was all in, just like I was all in Dave Ramsey a couple years ago. And when I went all in Dave Ramsey, I put the blinders on and I missed all of this around me. Mm-hmm. And then I opened my mind up and thought like, okay, great. Mm-hmm. Then I got into FIRE and it was like, retire early, do everything, save every penny, retire early. And, I was talking to this guy and I read Grant Sabatier's book and he's like, there's so many people that focus on that end goal that they miss the journey when they get there.
Right.
There's no sense in getting to financial independence, retire early, and then retiring and saying, where did the last 7 to 10 years go?
Right. And also, who am I?
Yeah.
what
am I
makes
going
me
to do
happy?
now? Yeah,
what am I going to do when I'm not working?
It's better off to take that slow path, even like a cliche when you're in a hike. Like every once in a while, stop, look around, and I think for somebody like you to be able to do that is just mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, and I think what I would say in terms of somebody watching this is just build it right from the start. It's easier to like establish these habits earlier on, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with the FIRE. I think it's a great idea, but there's a way to do that right. Maybe you are part of FIRE, but you take vacations, okay? And I'm not saying you have to do what I do and go to Mexico or anything like that. Like that's expensive, but I love that. It was awesome. It's an experience I'll never forget. But maybe you take a weekend trip, and it costs you a couple $100.
Yeah.
And you could sit there and be like, oh, but the compounded value of that $300, that's really 20 grand in 50
analysis
years.
paralysis.
But it's like, man, that is just crazy.
Oh, man.
And I won't be giving specific details here, but I had a conversation with a large YouTuber, and he kind of had just like the whole mindset of like compound interest, like corrupted his mind.
Yeah.
And he was super passionate about one thing, and he was like, and I won't give the details here because that could give away the person. There was one thing he was like, I remember I asked him, I was kind of like, so what's something that you really like, what do you like in life? Like, what's something you've always wanted? And he lit up, and he was like, oh, I've always wanted this one thing, and I've always been so cool about it, and I want to get one of these for my house, and I think it would be so awesome. And I could see his whole demeanor change. And then it was like he flipped back. But I realized that that's going to cost me $300 per month, and the compounded return of $300 per month, that's in reality going to cost me, $60,000 over the next 10 years. And I'm like, man, that you can't think about every dollar.
And people do it.
Yeah, and they do. And so, not that it's bad to think about it. Like, I'll be honest with you here. So, for example, I was talking about how last summer I was spending a ton of money. I lived on top of a brewery. I was quite overweight. I was drinking beer every night, eating chicken wings, literally every night going out and buying takeout. So I was a lot of stuff that I talked about earlier on my channel of don't go out to eat every night. Don't buy alcohol.
Your vegetable channel.
Yes.
Your vegetable channel.
I was not following. It was a case of the do as I say, not as I do. It really was. And I was overweight. I was drinking too much, eating too much food. And I remember the bank I have had this new feature where they could show you how much money you were spending on certain categories.
Brutal.
I can't remember the exact number, but I'm pretty sure in a 90-day period I had spent like $5,000 at restaurants and dining. And I was like, oh my God, that's excessive,
It's a spending problem.
So don't do that. Like, that's just stupid. I mean, whatever. But don't do that. Like, you don't want to be spending all of your money on dining.
Right.
But you also don't want to be, like, not living today because you're deferring and deferring and deferring. Because you're just going to lose yourself, and then you got to find yourself again, which you can do.
Right.
But it's easier to keep yourself,
yes,
than to lose yourself and then go find it. It's kind of like the whole idea of, like, people who sacrifice their health. And then when they're older, they try to get their health back with money.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll buy my health back in the future. I'm just going to eat ramen noodles and sleep for 4 hours a night for 10 years, and then I'm going to feel like crap. Yeah. But then when I'm older, I can spend money and hopefully get my health back. It's like, why wouldn't you just take it a little bit slower, enjoy the journey, and keep your health?
That message alone, man. It's so true. And like I said, long time. I thank you.
No problem.
I'm gonna selfishly turn the camera off and get the rest of this information just for myself. But I think just real quick, last outgoing message. Like,
sure.
What do you want to leave people with? Or I put you on the hot seat. If you have any questions for me, like, I think there was there was so much. This was better than my greatest expectation. You talked about the angle piece. What would you say? Like, I think my subscriber base is either getting out of debt or working towards financial independence, and not so much on the creator side, but from a personal side of a 24-year-old guy,
sure, that
arguably has his shit together. How can your story relate to not only a 20-year-old but a 50-year-old as well? Like, if you're 50 years old, are you doomed for happiness and financial success?
So the financial success piece is hard because everybody knows how compound interest works. It works for you or against you. And if you're in a situation where you're 50 and you're in debt and your net worth is flat or negative, the truth is, looking at the numbers, it's not looking great. It's tough. There's no good answer for that.
Can be done, but
it can be done, but it's going to be tough. Obviously, it's better to, again, build it right from the beginning and when you're younger, put money aside and save some and spend some. But the happiness piece, I would say, like, don't tie your own happiness to your financial success or your business success.
That's it.
You know?
Yep.
And it's easier said than done. Like, I'll be honest with you guys. Like, this week, for example, I had a video come out that I was, like, certain was going to go viral because I had seen it go viral on another channel. I hired a videographer. I spent the whole Saturday interviewing somebody doing this video. And it bombed. And it bombed bad. Like, it literally was the worst video I had in, like, 6 months.
Really?
And I was like, felt like crap for like the next day. I was like, man, that sucks.
That
I
big
was, like,
property video that you did?
the one where it was the.
I'll link it below. Let's boost that shit.
Let's see if we can get a little boost.
I'll get you 100 views. Let's go.
The how he bought a property for $0. A guy
Awesome
bought
video.
$1 million piece of real estate with none of his own money.
No money, yeah.
Using outside investors, and I thought it was fascinating.
It was,
and I thought it was a good video, but it just bombed. That's the way it goes sometimes. Yeah. And I realized that was a good lesson to me. I'm like, okay, I'm still very emotionally attached to my business. And I can't, like, you don't want to feel good when your business is good and feel bad when your business is doing bad. You want to be somewhat steady.
Right.
And then there's going to be a cyclical nature to anything in life. Yeah. I think it was, what's his name there? Jim Rohn. Is that?
There is a Jim Rohn.
Is he a motivational speaker?
Yes.
Right? Jim Rohn. I believe it is Jim Rohn.
The Jim
He's an
R.
guy, right?
Jim with an R.
I think it's him. And maybe if I'm quoting the wrong person, let me know in the
Swear,
comments.
he's going to the gym. He wasn't drinking.
he said, you need to learn how to handle the winter because winter's coming. You know?
No, that was Game of Thrones that said that.
Well, he said this in the 80s. So maybe Game of Thrones picked up on it for their show. But this was a video. If I'm thinking of the right guy, I think I am. Okay. But anyways, I heard that. You need to learn how to handle the winter because winter is coming. They did say winter is coming. Okay. So that part they may have. Maybe I'm mixing two things at once here.
Copyright's coming.
I'll just pull a Jay Shetty and I'll pretend this is my own piece of creative work. No. Anyway, thinking about it that way, it's like winter at some point is going to come. Right. Where whatever you're going to have good days in your marriage, you're going to have bad days in your marriage. Good days in a relationship, bad days in a relationship. Good days in your business, bad days in your business. So just like be aware of that and like plan for those bad days to come. Right. And you don't have to sit there thinking, oh, the sky's going to fall. But right. like just having a general idea of like, okay, I'm going to have good days in this and I'm going to have bad days. So the bad days are coming at some point. So just be aware of that. Yeah. You know? Yeah.
Good stuff, man.
And yeah, I think again, just like everybody says this, it's cliche, but like being happy today is really important. And like, you don't know, 1 in 5,000, every time you get behind the wheel of a car, it could happen. And if you just keep that in mind in a positive way of like, okay, if I were to die tomorrow, am I happy with this week? I don't know. I find that really keeps me in check and keeps me more balanced with my lifestyle. And as tempting as it may be to chase the bones, of, oh, look, I can, do 3 videos per week and try to triple my income or do all this. I could sit there and spend 10 hours, 12 hours a day working. Yeah. I realized like, I want a more balanced lifestyle and I want to kind of be happy today,
Well, I mean, as a 38-year-old guy, I don't think I could call you a kid, but I don't think in at least the most recent history, I don't think I've admired and been inspired by somebody of your age at my age. So,
oh, that's cool.
No, and it's your maturity and just your outlook. And I think that's really what I wanted people to see because we spoke for 2 hours, even just sitting down to do this, and the major thing is just that well-rounded, that centerness, and I just want to make it very clear to my subscriber base that he is not just a dude with 500,000 subscribers, and I'm so glad that that's one of the beauties of these talks. And sure. I hope people see that. And if you're not a subscriber, but we'll get to that, in the outro or the intro. But thank you. I want to thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
It's dark out. Go to the gym. And Ryan Scribner, guys. Let me check.
All right, man. Thanks for having me on. I enjoy these long form discussions, and it's just fun. I like getting a little deeper and maybe talking about things you may not expect to hear. It's kind of a little bit of clickbait here because people come, they're like, oh, passive income or make money. Then I'm like dropping some deep shit. And
then you find out he has a fucking avocado video.
So I throw some nuggets in there, throw a couple of zingers there to get you thinking. Yeah. But I just like to plant those seeds for people and get them thinking about like the whole well-rounded life and things beyond just like, the monetary side of life.
Yeah, you definitely made a few people's commutes better. And I can't wait to listen back. I'm going to edit the shit out of it. I'm going to edit it way longer than I need to so I can go back and listen to it. So that's a wrap on Ryan Scribner, and yeah, Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks for watching, guys. Or listening, depending on where you are.
Oh, we're watching and listening.
Only a few more Tuesday Talks this season. If you want to see the rest of this season, it's right here. Last season is right there. If you want to check out all the incredible people I've had the fortunate opportunity to sit down with. And until I see you on the next one, guys, stay positive, work really, really hard, and always be kind to other people. I hope you have yourself an amazing day and an even better tomorrow.